when crypto was really starting to gain popularity, possibly back in 2016 and 17. The case was crypto going to be technical? Was it going to adhere to the sorts of things that we could use on forex and indices and things like that? And I think the answer has turned out to be yes, particularly Bitcoin, as we've seen from some of these patterns and the alternatives. They are. Gary, I just alluded to it a moment ago. I mean, I think we've had some trades on and things like that, but I'm interested in what methodology and strategy you use in order to take trades on crypto. Is it mixed of fundamental and technical, pure technical? Please talk us through a chart, how you'd make a trading decision.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think when it comes to cryptos, it is important to use a bit of news behind it. But Cam and I actually spoke about this today because we work in tandem with regards to decision making when it comes to these type of investments. And I think it's important to know that if you're looking to invest into a coin for a longer period of time, then the news behind it, the utilities, the projects, the NFTs, all of that good stuff is important to know what's going on in the ecosystem. But when you're looking for some short-term margin trading, then then it really comes down to just the technical analysis. And if traders think that that technical analysis doesn't play a big role in trading cryptos, they're absolutely wrong. Because if you go ahead and take a look, and I'm going to open up I'm going to open up Bitcoin here on the daily time frame as an example, and I'm going to break this down right here and make it very simple for everyone to understand. The market moves in waves, whether it's on crypto stocks, commodities, you name it. It moves in waves, currencies, the whole shebang. So the thing here is, if I look at the Bitcoin, and we look at the way Bitcoin's set up right here. Bitcoin long term has been setting up. In fact, when people looked at the market breaking below that 32 level, or at least that 30 level, at some point traders didn't believe that the Bitcoin could come down to that level. Then they thought, okay, it's going to go further than that level. But you have to look at the technicals. The technicals for us right now tell us that price is moving in this what we call an irregular flat. If you do any research on irregular flat based on elite wave structure, it's when the market takes out the previous high, fails to keep it above that, and then comes back down, and then it targets the actual low of the previous move. And that's the low right here. So now that we've broken through that low, this is why I'm big on buying Bitcoin. In fact, we don't know what's coming up over the next couple of months based on news. But what we can tell you is that the technicals are telling us that there's a big move going on. And so coming back to your question, Simon, what do I use when I trade the markets? I use wave structure. And wave structure is just simply taking elite wave structure and considering, and I'm going to go ahead and draw it like this, looking at this type of wave structure. Price moves in a 5-wave impulsive move, then it comes into a correction. Then you have, of course, sideways movement in irregular flats, which look like this. This is called an irregular flat. A running flat will look like something like this. So these are patterns that form in the market. Again, cryptos, stocks, currencies, doesn't matter. And when you find these patterns, what they do is they give you turning points in the market. And in trading, you have to identify where the turning points are going to be so that you can look at the short-term trades and trade the trends on the short-term time frames. But what you do is you use the larger time frames to define where those turning points are, so that when you go down to a 15-minute time frame or a 1 hour, at least you understand now what my directional bias is for that particular trade. And that's pretty much giving it in a nutshell.
Excellent. Thank you for that. I notice you do have some quite clean charts. I can see some Fibonacci retracements there, basic support and resistance, and you have a divergence oscillator as well. Very briefly, how do you actually use that as well to make your trading decisions, or does it influence them at all?
Right. So very importantly, structure is important. So when we have a structure like this that we're having here on this chart, what we identify is once the structure is there, then you identify things that are leading indicators. You see, you have lagging indicators, you have leading indicators. Divergence is one of the leading indicators that are good to identify when the market's now looking to go ahead and trade in the opposite direction. And that normally happens when you have momentum and you have price moving in different directions. So if price is going lower, is creating lower lows, but momentum is moving higher, then you have what we call disagreement between price and momentum. And that's a key indication and a leading indication that price is going to turn around and head to the opposite direction.
Excellent, thank you for that. So yeah, a combination of different factors there, but relatively clean price action, which I'm certainly a fan of. Billy, just coming to you, because you're in charge of the charts. What sort of things do you use in order to make trading decisions?
So I'll start off. I like to use a lot of trend lines and patterns. I like to use support and resistance zones. And then the last thing I'll come to will be indicators. So I've got the Ishimoku cloud here. You can see this is coming down as resistance, so that's a good way to tell trend whether you're above or below it. Zones you can't go wrong with. You'll find a lot of the time, if you're trying to place orders for trades and you've got one just solid horizontal line, a lot of the time it'll miss. So as soon as you switch it to zones, it gives you a bit more leeway. You can spread a few orders out in them, and they're more likely to hit that way. Do the same with you taking profit. Take profit in a zone rather than just at one straight level. Yeah, price action, candlesticks, well, mainly just patterns. Keep it nice and simple, really.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for keeping it simple. And I think for people like myself, who are traditionally not sort of crypto traders, when crypto was really starting to gain popularity, possibly back in 2016 and 17, the case was crypto going to be technical? Was it going to adhere to the sorts of things that we could use on forex and indices and things like that? And I think the answer has turned out to be yes, particularly Bitcoin, as we've seen from some of these patterns and the alternatives. They are quite technical. So even if you don't necessarily get so into all the fundamentals and, dare I say, nerd out on crypto, which I certainly don't, then you can still enjoy some technical trades in that respect.